Why, hello, everyone. How's it going? Glad you could join us again. We are just attaining our cruising altitude here on clandestine international airways, en route to Shambhala International Airport at an undisclosed location in the Himalayan mountains, or possibly the Himalayan. And as I've said before, if anyone listening to us has some idea of how that should be properly pronounced, please comment anywhere you might be listening to this. I've just turned off the seatbelt light and lit the smoking lamp, so any smoking you can do. We're just hitting our cruising altitude. Looks like clear flight ahead. There might be a little turbulence, and of course I'm here with my co-pilot and electronics warfare officer, Roger Hansen, fabled in song and story. And I'm just going to switch on the Otto Matic pilot for a little while here, and we're going to continue our little journey. Roger, good to have you again tonight. How's it going with you?
It's going all right. Other than the mishaps we had when we first tried to get the stream going on, everything's been going pretty good. I do want to apologize to anybody out there. That is purely my fault. I should have been able to take care of the echo and everything you heard while we were setting up ahead of time. I completely messed that up. I apologize.
Oh.
But that won't be in the edited video.
Right. But this is warts and all, and people get a little glimpse of behind the scenes here as we were having a bit of a rough takeoff. But hey, we're cruising along now, and that's the main thing. And we used to have a saying on the old quantum gathering, this is the technical difficulty show. And unless we had a few technical difficulties, it really wouldn't be a show. In fact, I remember something, I play music, and we have a saying that the worse the rehearsal is, the better the performance. So, things get a little glitchy. That's all to the good sometimes. So has your weather improved where you are, Roger? It's been really cold for a lot of us lately, but I think things are warming up a little here and there.
Yeah, it started straightening up about, not today, but yesterday. It got really warmer, a lot warmer. And then today it actually got so warm that it rained a couple times. So
oh my.
It's really weird.
Well, a little rain will wash away some of the snow,
Yep.
So that's not a bad thing. We're actually getting more snow right now, but it is supposed to be getting up above freezing in the next couple of days. They even spoke of temperatures in excess of 35 degrees, which will be quite the change from the below zero nights and the single-digit days that we've been having here for some time. Of course, we are going into a grand solar minimum, or so I've been told, and this is a time of minimal sunspot activity, and this has often, in the historical record, been connected with prolonged cooling periods in the Earth's climate. So there is the thought that we are approaching a time of global cooling, and we are admittedly in an ice age right now. And so these are we're in a period of much cooler temperatures looked at from the vast history of the Earth in any event. So it doesn't take much to push us down into something a little colder. And I've been talking about this for years, and it's one of those things that I don't really necessarily like being proven right about. I'm not a big fan of the cold, but it does have certain advantages. You've lived in the South, haven't you, Raj?
Oh yeah, I've lived more in the South during my life than I have up here in the North, to be honest with you.
Oh, well, then that, when I lived in the South myself for a while, and if you lived in the North, one of the things you notice is that you have a lot of animal life that the warmer climate allows, like scorpions and alligators and things that, I don't like the cold, but then I think, well, there aren't any scorpions or alligators where I live. And these are nice things to avoid. So I think it's worth putting up with a little bit of winter to not have scorpions. I don't know about you.
Well, I mean, with me, I was okay with that when I was a little kid, but now that I'm older, I don't like the idea of alligators. They're just kind of creepy,
I knew somebody that lived down there, and they were always worried about walking their dog.
Oh yeah.
They didn't want their little dog to get at. And of course, the South is the only place I remember. I love, about Florida Man, right?
Now, I are you talking about the cryptid?
No, just the meme. Basically, it came from, if you go on a web search and you just type in the words Florida Man, you'll usually see something like, Florida Man. What was one I always liked? Florida Man has an alligator under his arm and is running through a Piggly Wiggly, chasing customers up and down the grocery store aisles. Only Florida Man would do something like that. So he's kind of like this weird superhero. One was Florida Man locks himself in somebody's house, stark naked, playing the organ, or something. Just weird stuff that Florida Man does. But yeah, try it sometime. Just Google Florida Man and see what kind of results come up. It's usually it's a Florida Man that's doing like all these weird things. Not always, but often enough that it's become something of a meme. So, oh my goodness. I don't think he's gonna get far in the ocean with a truck, but he's gonna try. He's gonna try. Well, weren't we talking once about water, which is our oldest symbol for chaos, for an undifferentiated state? Everything just smooth, which has this hypnotic force over us. Herman Melville used to say, take a path and 10 to 1 it'll lead you to water, and talk about how people are just drawn. So maybe this guy felt the magnetic pull of Mother Ocean. Maybe this was just something he had to obey. But of course he had to take his truck with him because he's Florida Man. He's just not really swimming. He's taking his truck with him, man. I'm taking my pickup.
Yeah. He said, "It's not my fault the truck don't serve. Man charged for driving pickup in the ocean on closed Florida beach." Just so, if anybody missed that, I'm going to say it again.
Oh my goodness!
That desire for water.
I'm wondering about the trucks that do serve. It's like lots of trucks serve. My truck doesn't serve. I mean, did he really think? Reminds me of the guy that jumped the drawbridge with his car. I think we were talking about that once. And of course, in the movies and on TV, you jump the drawbridge and then you land and you keep going. And this guy jumped the drawbridge. The car hit. The frame broke. All 4 tires popped out. He had a ruined car. It's just landed, stopped, skidded a little bit, just came to a dead stop. So it's not like it seems on TV. I remember, actually, I once saw a car explode when the gas tank caught. Car on fire, and it was nothing like in the films or movies.
Yeah.
At all. Just like a dull whoomp, and it really wasn't all that impressive. I mean, I wasn't very close to it, obviously, but. That was actually the cursed farm that I was working on. We went to this farm. I used to work in. I used to repair silo unloaders for a living. If you know what a silo unloader is.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You've had some experience on farm.
Yeah, I grew up on a dairy farm all the way up until I was about 13, 14 years old.
Oh, you know exactly what I'm talking about then. But for our listeners, if you drive past the farm, and especially the dairy farm, we have a lot of dairy farms near where I live. Very often you'll see silos, and silos contain silage. And they're very popular with smaller mom and pop kind of farms. You don't see them as often now. Most guys are going over to bunkers. They're cheaper, and there's a lot of reasons. But silos contain silage, and they also have something called a silo unloader. And a silo unloader is a large machine that basically loads and unloads silos. And and they're always found on dairy farms, usually around here. And as I recall, cows eat, it was like half haylage, half cornage. So you'd feed them like 50-50. Was that what you were feeding your cows, Roger?
Well, it all depends on who you work for. Like a lot of people, when they do their feed, they like to mix it up. You have barley that a lot of people like to put into it too, as well as other ingredients. So it could be like a 40-20 mix. Sometimes it could be, you know, kind of it depends on who the person is that owns the dairy, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
And what the diet is that they want their cows to have. So it varies. And I have another update. Florida man claims he only drank at stoplights and not while driving.
Well. That makes it fine then.
Yeah, straight from the Florida man.
Oh, wow. But the story I was telling, we went to this farm once to work, and it was like a cloud hung over this place. And we went there, and our job was we were going to climb up the side of a silo and remove the big plastic tube that went up the side of the ladder. And we're climbing, I don't know, it's like a 60-70 foot silo, pretty typical concrete silo. So we're talking to the farmer, and he's telling stories about how, silos are usually very, very sturdy. A cylinder is probably the most stable structure. If you go past a farm, even like an old rundown farm, usually the silo will be the last thing standing. Even those old wooden silos will still be there when everything else has fallen into ruin. So I never worried about climbing a silo. It's like it's very firm. But then he was telling us how the entire ladder fell off of the ladder that you attach to the outside. And he was talking about his buddy was working right at the top, and the ladder fell off the silo. He dove into the silo. Fortunately, there was silage about 10 foot from the top, and he missed the silo unloader when he landed. This silo also had, he told us, the silo unloader, these are held up by a big cable. Actually, the cable apparently broke, which I'd never heard of, and landed on top of a guy. And again, he was very fortunate that there was soft silage under him, and like the auger didn't break his back or something, So I'm like, whoa, this is scary. So, and then it starts raining, which is never good to climb steel when it's raining. We're climbing up the steel ladder. It's slippery and this and that. We're trying to get this thing off. It actually slips out of our hands and breaks, which is not good. In the meantime, though, when we get there, we notice that there's a fire going on. He's got a fire out in the field, and he had been burning rubbish. And you're not supposed to do that in this state at that time. But it was a gray day, and it was kind of rainy. And like I said, it started raining after we got there, and he figured, well, nobody would see the smoke. But the trouble is, the fire got out of his control, and it was going towards where he had like a lot of hay baled up and wrapped up in plastic. They do that.
Yeah.
And it's getting, and he's like, I don't know if I call the fire department, I'm going to get in trouble. So maybe the rain will put it out, kind of deal. In the meantime, the fire, while we were there, was getting closer and closer to this old car that he had sitting there, which still had gasoline in the tank. This is the car explosion I saw. So, we're going through all this, and he's just standing there, and he looks like that guy in the comic books that has a storm cloud over his head, just like a Jonah, like a Jinx. He's like really depressed and doesn't know what to do. So we get this thing down. We're putting all our equipment away. We're getting into the truck, and suddenly the car explodes. It just goes whoop. And I say, let's get out of here. This place, I don't want this bad luck to rub off on you. It was like the curse from. I'd never heard of a ladder coming off the side of a silo unloader. I'd never heard of a silo unloader falling. It's like, there's a curse on this place or something, and I don't want to work here anymore. Let's get out of here, kind of deal. I have no idea whatever happened to that guy, but it was just the oddest place I'd ever been. Just so many negative vibes. Like, oh man, I was, and the ancient Greeks used to think like things like bad luck or catching. You can actually catch bad luck from people. So if like somebody is like really unlucky like that, you have to kind of avoid them, or else, whatever is tormenting them might decide to start tormenting you instead. Hey, this guy looks really good. Let's get this guy instead.